Hello. Please don't let the fact that I'm clearly losing my voice distract you from the seriousness of the message that I'm about to deliver. Now, I have been commissioned on behalf of two communities in particular, the pleasantly partnered community and also the single and satisfied communities. These are people who are either already with the people that they want to be with, or people who are single strictly by choice and they don't need your help. Either way, both communities would like for you to please take them out of the group chat. The Gender Wars group chat that we have been involuntarily inundated with all of their different talking points and these loser lists that are supposed to be things that all women want and how all men feel. Please take us out of the group chat. None of this stuff is accurate. We don't agree with any of this. You all sound insane and this is annoying. Now, I don't agree with either the red pill or the pink pill community. I'm more about the orange pill for balance. You see, balance equals righteousness, and anything that lacks balance will inevitably lead to chaos, which is what you see going on with gender wars. But since this is where we are now, I do figure that it's okay for me to just talk about the list since they're already out there, and maybe I can give some talking points that will help both sides get a life. Let's get started. So I'll start with the women's list because it seemed to go more viral all the way up to the point that it literally made local and national news, which why is it even this serious? But I think that it was heightened by all of the reactions and rebuttals that it got from men. So let me talk about the first critique that I have with the list, not just that it's stupid and it doesn't represent what all women think, but also you spend so much time saying where you didn't want to go and what you didn't want to do, and you didn't get to the point of saying why you didn't want to go to these places or do these things, and most importantly, where you do want to go and what you do want to do. That's how you get the intended results, is by saying what it is that you want. Instead, you spend an exorbitant amount of time listing, like over half the list is specific restaurants that you all don't want to go to, when the truth of the matter is all of these restaurants are not even available at all different states and regions. And also the irony of it is, the stereotype for women is that they are notoriously indecisive about where they want to go to eat and what they want to eat. So you all still didn't solve that problem. You made it even more mysterious, if anything. So I think the general consensus that you were trying to get at is don't take us somewhere extra cheap or somewhere that has like a 2 for $20 type special, because it indicates that you're just not that into us and you don't feel like we're worth the investment. Some of the other places and activities like the movies, or just kicking it at your house, or doing Netflix and chill, or going on a long drive somewhere way out of my way to where it's outside of my comfort zone. I think that what you're saying here is two things. First of all, don't put me in an unsafe position. And secondly, don't put me in a position that's aimed at hitting the fast forward button straight to sex instead of getting to know each other, which is, I think, kind of along the lines of the same way that you wanted to opt out of some of these other places and activities like bowling and nightclubs, things of that nature. Is going to be loud. These environments are not conducive to having real meaningful conversation, and thus we can't really get to know each other there. But once again, you should have just said this and spelled this out, especially for the opposite gender who is known stereotypically for not being emotionally intelligent. When men started doing their rebuttals and reaction videos, I noticed that they were responding mostly to stuff that was not even on the list. First and foremost, this list was of places or activities to not do on the first date, right? So a lot of men were making responses and comments like women are delusional because they think that you should only take them on expensive dates in order to really get with them. And what I want to point out is a dollar amount was never mentioned. Also, nobody said anything about the first date having to be expensive. And most importantly, they never said that you couldn't go to some of these other places or do these other activities on subsequent dates, just not the first one. I think the general idea is for the first date, put your best foot forward. That's it. That's all. Now let's move on to the men's list. So first and foremost, you can't even compare the two lists because they're not talking about the same thing. The women are talking about where not to go and what not to do, and the men are talking about what type of women you shouldn't like. Let's be honest though, we don't think that red pill and manosphere type men like women at all, much less that they can get one. So I don't even know why the list needed to be made, but here we are. One of the things that I instantly noticed is that about a third of the list actually exposes the fact of how often your actions do not align with your words. You're saying that you don't want to date women who are sex workers or porn stars or, for instance, OnlyFans girls or strippers, yet and still this is who you give your resources to. You pay the OnlyFans girls and you pay the strippers. So really what you're saying is I will give my resources to the types of women that I don't find suitable for dating. But when a regular woman asks to be taken out on a nice date for the first date, I make videos complaining about it's too expensive. Do you see where you're going wrong here? Also, the Instagram models and the escorts, bottle girls, the girls who have large social media followings, it's because you're the ones that's following them. You are the ones that also like all of their photos and comment underneath their pictures. So once again, you seem to give an exorbitant amount of your attention and time to the type of women that you say that you don't want to date, but a regular woman who's regular looking and doesn't have all of the surgical enhancements seems to not stand a chance with you. If she is modest and doesn't have a lot of sexual experience, these are the women or the wives that you cheat on. Then you have a lot of personal preferences as far as looks. Of course, we already knew that fat shaming was going to be a part of it, but you talk about women with a lot of tattoos or just not women who have purple hair, as if a woman with lime green hair is completely acceptable. Once again, personal preference stuff that's on the list and you don't tell why. But one of the things that I really want to talk about is the talking points that tend to focus in on women having previously unfavorable relationships with men. And what you're kind of leading to is that undertone of this pseudo psychobabble about daddy issues, right? Or women being bitter because of previous relationships and interactions with men. Here's what I want to say. First and foremost, this is more so about men and their behavior than women. So perhaps it would be more effective if you all made more videos counseling men on how they should and should not treat women versus trying to tell women what they need to do in order to get men that they don't even find desirable or suitable. Like seriously here. As it pertains to women who don't have fathers, you didn't even specify, meaning are they just dead or were they never a part of your life? Or is it because their parents got a divorce? But I'm assuming that you're saying that you're talking about fatherless women and also women who are single mothers, meaning that the father is not present. Men did not take care of their responsibilities. They will create a child and then not take care of it. That's a problem with men's behavior, not women. Also, the whole thing of being redundant about people who have been previously married and then also people who have been divorced. I should hope that you're not trying to date married women here. But, if you consider the fact that over 70% of divorces are initiated by women, this is an indication that this is something that men are doing wrong. And it's probably the type of men that are making these lists. The part of the list that's talking about things like you don't want women with a large social media following or women who take trips by themselves or women who are on dating apps. What it sounds like you're trying to avoid is, having to compete, first of all, and yet you want women to do that for men. But other than that, high income earning women, hence the taking trips by yourself. And also what ties into that is women who are self-assured with high self-esteem, who can stand alone and stand their ground. Then you talk about women with large social media following and women that are on dating apps. Essentially, you don't want somebody who's confident. You don't want somebody who's popular, a high income earner, one with self-esteem and that is self-assured. You don't want any of these women to be on dating apps or have a lot of social media following, because the indication is you don't want women who have a lot of options, because if they have a lot of options, they're not going to choose you. As it pertains to the pseudo-psycho-babble of daddy issues, I want you to know that men have daddy issues in equal to or greater than numbers. It's just that you don't talk about men being bitter and angry and not very well adjusted due to their fathers, right? But also, most of this list, I would say at least half of it, is an indication of men being the type of creatures that ruin everything that they touch and interact with, not so much of the women who were victims of being born from or in a relationship with the wrong types of men. So this is not the flex that you think it is. So let me go ahead and take away your little red pill and your pink pill and give both sides a good dose of balance. One of the main things that you all need to do is be a bit more realistic. You complain about these people who society would consider them to be out of your league. So if you are an average looking woman, how about you try dating an average looking man and vice versa? You all don't want to do this. You feel like you can be frumpy as a woman, or as a man, you can be built like a seahorse, but you want a supermodel woman. Looks and sex is for men, as financial stability and provision is for women. So men and women tend to value things differently. Yet and still, as it pertains to value, you all keep making these idiotic lists about high value men and high value women. And most of what you talk about is aesthetic and income. Let me tell you something, dear. It's a whole lot easier to date someone who's overweight or has acne and go walking with them or exercise with them, get on a healthy meal plan, or get them something to clear their skin up, for example, than it is to change what people are like on the inside. Because a person who is rotten on the inside is going to mistreat you. And thus, even if you get into a relationship with somebody who makes the amount of money that you want or looks the way that you want them to, if they are not a good person, if they are rotten on the inside, you're still going to be mistreated, and thus you're not going to get the desired result. How about we put a little bit more focus on being realistic, dating somebody who's similar to you in the looks department, and then also as far as a tax bracket, and then also, listen, how about you all stop lying to each other, ghosting each other, and mistreating each other? Meaning, be the person that you want to attract. If you feel like it is disrespectful to lead people on or to take hours upon hours, if not days and weeks, to respond to a simple phone call or text message, then how about you don't play the phone tag game with people also? A lot of this stuff could be avoided just by simple human decency. And we seem to be more concerned with building a hierarchy or playing mind games or having one up on somebody versus actually just treating people well. Another thing that I'd like for women to consider, for those of you who actually are of the mindset that you do want men to just blow a whole lot of money on whining and dining you, here's what I want you to consider. If you had to be the person or the gender that typically initiates contact and interaction, think about how many times men have to strike out and how much rejection they have to face on a daily basis, right? That you don't, as far as initial contact and interactions. So maybe grant men some grace on that. And then also, if you are going to reject them, Why do it in a rude manner or in a way that insults or embarrasses them? I find this particularly disgusting, and I wish that women would do away with this altogether. Another thing is you think about having to pay for everything. Just the same way that women say you have to kiss a lot of frogs before you find your prince. Yeah. Likewise, men have to go through the same thing too, except for they're paying for a whole lot of different dates from a whole lot of different women, and most of them end up being a whole lot of nothing, and they lead to nowhere. So they're wasting money while they're kissing frogs. So you might want to consider that when you choose not only what place to go, but also what you want to order. General rule of thumb for both sides of the fence. Don't order anything that you cannot pay for yourself, because it might actually come down to that. And the reason why I say both sides is a lot of people, like to switch it up, and the women treat or they go Dutch. So you're going to end up paying for your own meal anyway. But I say this even in situations where you're doing some sort of celebration, like it's a company dinner to where your business that you work for is treating, or when you're doing like a celebration like a graduation or birthday. I have seen so many times where men and women will order a whole lot of extra expensive food. Yeah, give me the truffles this and lobster tails that, and throw another fruity expensive drink or top shelf this or that, when you don't have to pay for it. You run up the tab. But when everybody's paying their own way, now all of a sudden you hear, all I got was the chicken tenders and a glass of water. Keep that same energy when you're doing something on somebody else's tab. So once again, we're talking about just common decency here, right? I think that if we just start there and get rid of some of these superficial things that we use to label somebody's high value, and then also, which I'll have to talk about in a different video altogether, is applying the word value to people instead of things, is going down the wrong path altogether. But I will continue to make more videos geared towards getting rid of these one-sided conversations and gender wars, and bringing everybody to the middle to discuss things that are more balanced. If this is something that you're interested in, please subscribe, hit the notification bell for all notifications, and then also share this video. Thank you.